And hello and welcome to Hollywood Blockbusters. I am your host, Joe Hollywood, and once again I am joined by Imaginos Pete
Hey.
and Andrew Walker.
Hello, Clarice.
Do you have to leave to have dinner with an old friend?
He went good with fava beans and Chianti.
Now, before we get into our main topic today, I want to ask you
Andrew.
if you've seen Fantastic Four yet. I saw Fantastic Four a week or two ago, and just when I thought I was totally burnt out on superhero films, I'm back, baby, and superhero films are back.
Yes.
When I saw the early trailers for Fantastic Four, I was intrigued because I liked that retro, can't place the time period aesthetic that the movie had, where technology looked like it might have been from the 60s, kind of Art Deco, cars with fins, but there was modern technology sort of mixed in there. And you're like, okay, when is this supposed to be set? And then at the very beginning of the film, you see a graphic that says Earth 828, which I guess is a variation of the Earth that we know. And I was very intrigued by that Art Deco feel and style that the movie had. And so I was cautiously optimistic heading into the film. And then when I saw it, I really liked the simple storytelling. There weren't any necessarily multiverses, Chris Evans and Michael B. Jordan didn't come back as Johnny Storm in some way. It was just back to simple storytelling, which I felt like superhero movies had been lacking lately. They were just far too complex with multiverses and the universe at stake. And I enjoyed the simplicity of the story and mother's rage. Don't tick off the moms out there, man. So I ended up, in the end, loving everything about it. I really enjoyed this film, and I'm back to loving superhero movies again. And I will go on record as saying that Fantastic Four is quite possibly my favorite movie, maybe within the last 5 years or so, and might even crack my top 10 favorite comic book movies of all time.
That makes more sense.
Not top 10 all time.
No. But when you said it was the best superhero in the last 5 years, that's like the Jurassic Park movie. It's the best Jurassic Park movie in the last 10 years. I'm like, that's a low bar to clear.
No. I mean, to say it's one of my favorite movies over the last 5 years, there has not been a lot of stuff that I've liked.
But to make it into your top 4 of that, I pay attention. That reason I'll pay attention.
Yeah, so in the end, I really enjoyed it. I'm sure I'll buy the DVD Blu-ray when it comes out in a year or so, and I recommend it if you haven't seen it. Let's go around the table. Nick, what are your thoughts on Fantastic Four?
I enjoyed it. Like you, I was cautiously optimistic. When I saw the trailers, I loved, I mentioned this after we saw it. It had that Catch Me If You Can feel. I love that late 50s, early 60s vibe.
Yeah.
Where they have faster than light travel, but they have tube television, and it's like, you're right, okay.
Even in Times Square, they have big tube TV sets.
They have the ability to go into space, but yet they're still using good old radio communication to talk to everybody around the planet. I'm like, yeah, it's whatever, it works. When it comes to movies like this, I always look at certain fight executions. The comic book fights, I kind of felt that they kind of had to, what's. Spoiler alert, I think they've seen the trailers on there. They try to set Galactus on fire. I'm like, why would that work? He's a galactic being who's traveling. But it's fine. At that point, I'd throw a box of candles at him just to try and slow him down. No, I loved, the cast was great. I loved their chemistry. They gave everybody a moment to shine. I love the fact they made Johnny Storm smart, not just some pretty boy jock.
Yeah.
They gave everybody their moment, and I can't believe I was telling you this. I wish it was at least 10 minutes longer.
Yeah, I agree. It was a very brisk. What was the total runtime? About an hour.
It's listed at 155. 1 hour.
155. So almost 2 hours. It didn't feel like it. It was very brisk. Moved along at a great pace. I didn't think there were any real slow moments or anything like that. Kind of kept the story moving along. Andrew, do you concur?
Yes. Yeah, I really, really liked it. And compared to the other two comic book movies this year, Superman and Thunderbolts, I liked it better than those two.
Yes.
Oh, sure.
As well. But I also really like those two. But yeah, like you said, the aesthetic, the look of it was good. The look, yeah. And with the characters, I think everybody did well. And that's great. You brought up Johnny Storm, that he's not just like a bimbo,
A himbo.
A male gigolo.
a himbo who is overly headstrong like the previous iterations. Pedro Pascal, I don't know where he finds the time to be in everything,
Yeah.
but he was great.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm looking forward to seeing them next Christmas in the Avengers Doomsday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw something recently that I guess Reed Richards is going to sort of take over as the leader of the Avengers. So that should be intriguing now that Iron Man is no more.
I did enjoy the fact that you did not have to see any of the previous movies to
Yeah.
watch this movie. You could have just started this is your entry into Marvel Cinematic Universe. It's not a bad one.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good standalone movie.
Yeah.
You don't need to have seen all the other ones. And I don't know if you guys noticed, there was a newspaper sitting on the coffee table out in the front lobby that said something about a kind of a second coming of cinema. Like, are we finally recovered from COVID? Because it seemed like it took years for people to get back in the movie theaters following COVID in 2020. What are you guys seeing? Are theaters back?
No.
No, you don't. Not seeing those numbers
I,
yet.
I want them to. I desperately
Yeah.
want it because I'm one of those people that enjoy going to theaters. But I think it's because it's been held back for so long that people want to go back out, and then the reality starts to kick in. Oh my God, it's costing me $80 to go see a kids movie because mom and dad, or however many in the concessions,
Yeah.
and the ticket price, or wait 2 months, it comes out in streaming, and that's $80. I can get 3 streaming network,
Yeah.
services for a month. That will start to kick in, and then where's your where your disposable income comes from? Like, where's it going to go to?
Yeah.
It's going to go bang for your buck kind of stuff. So
The other problem with people sort of taking time off from seeing movies in theaters is they kind of forgot the decorum, even though it's always been a problem. But I've noticed lately going into theaters, I see a dozen phones.
oh God,
And not just like glancing at something quickly, like they will have their phones out for a couple of minutes, and I want to throw something at them.
they forget that it lights up like a Christmas tree.
Yeah.
Your screen is pointed at your face, so unless you're at the back row, everybody in front of you can
Yeah.
everyone behind you can see it. It's annoying, and it's not even
Yeah. Yeah. How
they text
rude.
away.
Yeah.
A couple of weeks ago, a friend of the show, Robert, and I saw this drama called Sorry Baby. Excellent movie. But there was a group of people behind us chatting. Not the whole time, but they would say things here and there. And when it got to around the climax of the movie, Robert turns around and goes, "Okay, enough with the commentary already."
I had to applaud them.
Yeah.
I had to physically
Stifle your laugh.
Yeah, I was pulling my lips together because I was gonna laugh so hard.
What was there a reaction? What did they say?
They didn't talk the rest of the 20 minutes of the movie.
Yeah.
And then a week before that, I saw the movie Eddington with the aforementioned Pedro Pascal and Joaquin Phoenix, and about 5 places down from me to my right, there's a group of people talking the whole time, and they would just say, "Oh wow, oh look at that car, oh
Yeah.
oh no, see, he shouldn't have done that." Like the most basic anodyne stuff, and I was this close to standing up and reaching over, saying, "Can you please be quiet?"
Yeah.
See, because they're probably used to watching it at home. That's what happened.
Exactly.
And then
Yeah.
they
You forget about how to handle yourself in a civilized society.
But I think shouldn't that be something like learning how to ride a bike? You never
Yeah.
forget.
Yeah.
You
You can't
should-
blame the pandemic. You should have known that before.
You go to a theater one time. That's something that
Yeah.
well, I should say most people pick up on
Yeah,
They
yeah.
give
but-
you the PSA. Please
Yeah.
don't talk during the movie. Turn off your
Exactly.
phone.
every time.
Yeah.
And then also for all 3 Deadpool movies, there were families of like 5 and 6-year-olds parents taking their 5 or 6-year-old kids, and that's wrong
It's
for
pretty ultra violent.
at least 2 reasons. But
Yeah.
come on, don't take your kids to these type of movies. Do
Yeah.
a little research.
You know, the funny thing is, the money they spent on the kids' tickets could have been spent on the babysitter.
Yeah, right.
And
No,
then
I've-
mom and dad or whoever could have just gone and seen it and then paid the babysitter.
I've seen people bring little children to like a 10 p.m. screening. It's
Yeah.
like, what are you doing? The evening screenings are for adults. The matinees are for the kids. If I go see a movie during a matinee, I'll allow some distractions and some noise because you choose to be there, but don't bring your toddlers to a 10 p.m. screening. That's nuts. So
I try to sympathize. You know, look, you have a kid, you desperately want to go see a movie. If you can't do it, and you said if it's any time before 5 o'clock, I make that adjustment. I go,
Right.
okay, look, they can't do it, so I get it. You go see 11:30 p.m. and you hear a baby crying, I'm
Yeah.
going, oh my God,
it's irresponsible.
yeah.
Now, we're going to segue to today's topic, but first I want to talk about Galactic. I want to pronounce this correctly. Galactus? Is that how you
Galactus.
pronounce the villain?
Yeah.
I always want to add an extra syllable in there. How would you rate Galactus among movie villains? I thought he was intriguing. They gave us just a little taste of a backstory without necessarily showing us
Yeah.
his origin story. And I thought it was cool the way they depicted the way he devoured planets, that he used this high-tech machinery to kind of grind planets up into their, elements, and then he just
Absorbs them,
was
yeah.
driven to consume the elements of these planets. And I thought that was kind of intriguing the way they depicted that, and he just his never-ending quest to consume planets just took him from one planet to the next to the next. And so how would you rate Galactus as a villain?
I wouldn't put him in anywhere near the top 10 because it's not. He's doing it. It's a purpose. I mean, he's driven for hunger. And truth be told, I mean, it's not really a shocker. They do this in the comic book too. The Silver Surfer is the villain.
Hmm.
Silver Surfer gets to pick the worlds.
Yeah.
You could pick a bunch of empty rocks. It's a guy. It's a universe. There's billions of stars and like empty rocks that'll be mineral rich for him to sustain himself. Sheep in that movie, there's at least 6 populated planets. I'm like, lady,
Yeah.
this feels deliberate. So that's why with Galactus, look, and he made the deal. He could, when she said, he offered the deal. I'll spare a planet which millions to billions of you if you become my herald.
Yeah.
That's pretty reasonable.
Yep.
So really, I would like to say he's like, I'm going to destroy it because I hate everybody. But no, it's this guy's like, hey, man, look, I'm hungry.
Yeah.
And I'm looking to retire.
Yeah, and that was an interesting aspect too. He was just tired of doing this.
Yeah.
I need someone to step into my shoes.
And because what are you going to do after this? Destroy your enemies? No, man. I'm going to catch a nap. I need to sleep. I have itis. I have massive itis.
I wonder if we're going to get an origin story in his human form. I thought that was. I did a little research before today's podcast because I didn't know a whole lot about Galactus, and apparently he was kind of a humanoid. I don't know if he was an Earthling, but he was a human in some alternate
Sure.
version of the universe, and his universe was dying, and he traveled to the center of the universe, and at the last act before his universe just vanished was he got merged with some cosmic entity and became Galactus. So I don't know if that's a story you can tell in a movie.
Right.
Maybe it was best they just sort of hinted at it and
Yeah,
said,
it's okay that they
accept it."
glossed over that. But as far as him being like a villain of, no, I can't put that. It's like I can't make Godzilla a villain.
Right.
Sometimes I want, in -1, I want to make him a villain, but
Yeah.
other than that,
From Galactus's perspective, it's like imagine sitting in a theater eating popcorn, and every single one of those little bits of popcorn has a population on it. But it's like I kind of like my popcorn, and he's eating the popcorn. So does that make one a bad guy? I don't know.
It's like stepping on ants, or burning them with a.
That's a little more deliberate.
Yeah, but
So
although it's funny you mentioned the popcorn. When I eat my little popcorn chicken, the chicken was alive. If we go down that route, yeah, plants are alive. I mean,
there you
Yeesh.
go.
I don't think that's the last we're going to see of Galactus.
Yeah,
Because
he got sent to the. Well, I don't know if we should talk about any spoilers here, but
but
we'll see.
he doesn't die.
Right,
we could
right.
say.
You can't. Look, that's not really a spoiler. You're not going to kill Galactus in one movie. They just
Yeah.
basically got him away from their planet.
Yeah.
Make sure
for
he's
now.
not a threat anymore. So
Yeah. So that leads us to today's topic, your favorite / greatest villains in film history. And boy, I had a hard time ranking number one because there is one guy that, I would always go to when someone said, who's the greatest villain of all time? I'd be like, pow, I had that in my holster. But now it's a little bit more convoluted, a little bit more muddied than it used to be, because not too long ago, maybe just a few nights ago, I was just looking for something to watch on TV, and Infinity War happened to be on, and I got caught up in it and started watching it. And as you listen to Thanos explaining his motivation, his reasoning for doing what he did, you're like, the guy's not wrong. Like when Gamora confronts him about killing half the population on her planet, he's like, but what was life like after I did it? Everyone was prosperous. Resources were plentiful. It became a paradise. And it's like, wow. But who are you to make that decision on who lives and who dies? And so, I've always wondered when Thanos snaps his fingers, when he got the glove, is it a conscious decision? Like, I wonder how he makes that decision about who lives and who dies.
Oh no, it felt completely random.
Yeah.
I like how Gamora said the world got better. Like, really, I mean, did you ask? Because if you did like eugenics thing, only the smart people live, and then becomes like this utopia because all the backwards folks are gone.
Yeah.
And they're thinking, then you go, oh, okay, it's still monstrous, but you saw Winter Soldier, you saw Black Panther get Peter Parker get out.
But an argument against your theory is that he seemed to deliberately spare Tony Stark. Even though he had stabbed Tony Stark through the torso, he basically said, I respect you, Tony Stark. And it sounded like he was saying, I'm going to spare you, which makes you wonder if somehow in that instant he chooses who lives or dies. I don't know. It's kind of an interesting argument.
Also, I think had his lieutenants lived, some of them would have gone too. All those loyal people there, the guy who would do like the mental stuff would sound like the Shakespeare guys, like, you are all here for Galactus. My master, what's happening to me? He's like, sorry, you didn't make the cut.
So, watching those movies, we all know that Josh Brolin was he had those dots on his face. He was motion captured as Thanos. And watching the movies, it's obvious that he's a CGI creation. But I think Thanos ranks up there among one of the better CGI humanoid creations, because that doesn't always go well. Right. And they did manage to convey emotion, like when Thanos and Gamora go to that planet, and there has to be a sacrifice for the Soul Stone, and Gamora slowly realizes that he cares for her because she's laughing like, you don't love anybody. And then all of a sudden you see this CGI face convey emotion that he is grappling with the thought of sending Gamora to her death. And
it has to be a meaningful sacrifice.
Yes. And I'm like, man, this is really well done. Like, so even though the whole time I'm thinking he's a CGI creation, it's a really well done CGI creation. And then we also need to discuss the fact that it took an entire Avengers ensemble to make a dent, to draw blood. Like, this guy, even before he had all the stones, he was so damn powerful that he kicked Hulk's ass. He throttled Loki. This guy in the movies is one of, if not the most powerful villain in the history of movies. Mm-hmm. He kicked butt in these movies. Right. So I put Thanos right up there. If not number one, I put him in my top 2 greatest movie villains of all time. Nick, would you concur? Where do you rank Thanos?
I put him in the top 10. I definitely put him in the top 10. Along that same movie, in that the people that ended up becoming more villainous right behind him, or right next to him, I'd say, would be Tony Stark and Captain America for what they did, which was unforgivable.
What'd they do?
Well, when they had a plan, you don't get to say just bring everyone back. He didn't undo the 5 years where people were missing, and it wasn't just on Earth. That was across the universe. There
Yeah,
are people
yeah.
that you don't get to make that decision for everyone just because you want to preserve your daughter, which you could go make another one, or have someone bring her along, and then she just lives an extra 5 years. I mean, you don't make that decision for everybody.
Yeah.
There are people that woke up and said, "Where's my family? Where's my home?" You should have gone back to when they had just been wiped out. Like maybe go back. You have those stones. You have the ability. Give it to someone who's it. No, this guy. And then Cap stole Peggy's life. Yeah, maybe he should have had that life, but he went to that same timeline
And stayed there, yeah.
He stayed there. She had a husband, which she says in Winter Soldier. Steve's still saving my life after affecting my life long after. He's one of the people he saved when he went to that prison thing. Ended up being my future husband.
Yeah.
Oh, I
Completely
forgot about that.
There were some selfish motives in
Starks
these
was the
movies.
worst.
Yeah, but
That's it. You made a
to
universal decision.
bring back the people that were lost 5 years earlier means you're killing off the progress that had been made over those 5 years. So to make that decision to go back 5 years and just pick up where you left off means he would have had to eliminate a lot of life that was created in those 5 years. So how do you make that determination?
It's very simple. You go because that was the original sin. That's where so those people don't just get to not exist anymore and come back to their lives where they don't matter.
Yeah.
Things happen, and that's across the universe. It's not just Earth.
Yeah, the other thing that I struggle with in those movies is basically Thanos was responsible for killing off all of Asgard. And they could have brought back everyone from Asgard, but they chose not to, and Thor has to live with those consequences. That his entire race was pretty much wiped out. So it's a decision I wouldn't want to make, I guess. I did have a little sound clip here I want to play.
Tell me his name again.
Thanos.
Thanos is just the latest in a long line of bastards, and he'll be the latest to feel my vengeance. Fate wills it so.
Thanos has been inside my head for 6 years, since he sent an army to New York, and now he's back.
When he invades planets, he takes what he wants. He wipes out half the population.
There's kind of that funny line where Thor's like, he never fought me yet. And I think it was Rock is like, yes, he has. He hasn't fought me twice. Okay. Is it going to be different this time?
Yeah, they kind of dumbed Thor down.
A little bit.
The movies
And
went along.
he made, when you look at who was responsible for the snap, there's a couple of people you could point fingers to. One is Peter Quill, because had he not acted irrationally when they almost had the glove off of his hand and he started punching Thanos in the face, he could be looked at as a villain in that film. And also, Thanos said it best, you should have gone for the head. He gave him enough time to snap his fingers.
And Doctor Strange had the time stone. Go back in time.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
So, yeah, there's a lot of finger pointing going on here. But
no, Thanos is a villain. I'd put him in the top 10, but what Stark did was unforgivable.
Yeah. Andrew, where do you rank Thanos?
It's hard to say. But in comic book movies, definitely like top 3 for villains.
Yeah.
Movies in general, I don't know if I put him in my top 10. I was just thinking
interesting.
about this, though. He kind of reminds me of Magneto in that they both have good points on what they're trying to do.
Yeah.
Or, in
there's a
general.
motivation there. There's
Yeah.
a reason why they do what they do. Yeah.
And like say Iron Man versus Thanos is kind of like Professor X versus Magneto, and
Sure.
they kind of respect each other. They go head to head.
Yeah. They're kind of both, two sides of the same coin.
Yes,
that
yes.
sort of thing. Yeah.
I was thinking about that. But yeah, like you said, the motion capture looks good compared to a lot of other movies where it looks terrible.
Yeah, exactly.
Before that movie and since that movie. But I just remember seeing Infinity War at Great Lakes Crossing. It was so exciting in a completely packed theater opening night.
Yeah.
And then having to wait a year later.
Yeah.
And I saw it with my sister, and I said, you know what? a year from now when you see the sequel, I hope they don't do just kidding and everything you saw in the first movie
Gets undone.
Yeah, and of course that's what happened.
Yeah, because after seeing Infinity War, you're like, there's only one way out of this, and that's time travel. Even though they explain in the movie, what was it, the second one called?
Endgame.
Endgame. They use other time travel movies to kind of explain that if you just go back in time and try to undo things, you're not necessarily undoing things. You're just creating a new timeline.
Yep.
So you have to take all of that into consideration as well. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the other villain that is right up there with me, and again, this traditionally would be the number one dude on my list.
Obi-Wan never told you what happened to your father.
He told me enough. He told me you killed him.
No. I am your father.
So imagine, I was 9 years old, not quite 10 when Star Wars came out, and I saw all the imagery, and you see this samurai-inspired black masked guy with the cape, and just his appearance. You didn't even have to see the movie. You're like, who's this awful person? And then that moment when we see Darth Vader for the first time on the blockade runner, there's the shootout between the rebels and the stormtroopers, and then all of a sudden Darth Vader steps through that door with carnage all around him, and he kind of surveys the damage and then moves forward. And just with the music playing and everything, you're like, who is this guy? And having seen that first movie, you now call it A New Hope. It'll always be Star Wars to me. You didn't know what was behind that mask. You didn't know if he was some sort of android, alien, a robot. Who knows what was underneath that mask? And that mystery made him so compelling. And he was so ruthless, like when they show the scene of him strangling Captain Antilles. He's got him like a foot off the ground and then just tosses him aside like a rag doll. Imagine as a kid going, this guy is terrifying. And I've seen clips on TikTok and stuff where like a dog will be watching Star Wars, and when Darth Vader comes out, the dog takes off and like hides behind the couch. Like a dog sees that image and is terrified by that image. And then, of course, we get, a little bit more backstory to Darth Vader when Empire Strikes Back comes out. There's that brief scene where you see his helmet being lowered onto his scarred head, and that's the first time you realize that there's some damaged, humanoid life form under that helmet. And then we learn more and more and more about him and who he was. And then, I think some of that mystique was sort of eroded when we got into the prequels and we see a little kid going, yippee! And
the execution was rough on that.
Yeah, and that's why I don't think if I were to have children, I would never start off with the prequels, because to me that diminishes the impact of when you first see Darth Vader in Star Wars, and there's that mystery of who is this guy, and then you see these parents record their children watching The Empire Strikes Back, and when they do the big reveal, I am your father, the kids look with wide eyes at their parents and go, is it true? Is he telling the truth? And that's what we all thought as moviegoers in 1980. Is he lying? What's his angle? What's he doing? And so the story arc of Darth Vader is, I think, one of the greatest in cinema history. And that's why I think Darth Vader should be considered one of, if not the greatest movie villain in movie history.
Yeah, he's on Mount Rushmore.
Mhm.
Only because, depending on the order you watch it in, I think we got fortunate because we watched it in the original order. Like we get to see it can't be true. Like you're like, look, no, it can't. It's not possible. I think the execution by George was rough, but the overall story they laid out, kids born into slavery, had a rough life, got taken away from his mom, was pining from. The Jedi absolutely messed that up when all they did say, like, dude, just go get the kid's mom. The kid's pining for his mom. You're making the exception to train him. Just get the kid's mom.
Yeah.
Frank, what are you doing?
Yeah, they Lucas worked really hard to kind of work in the story of Christ in there, the virgin conception that they implied that he was conceived by the midichlorians, by the Force. So they did kind of, George did sort of heavy-handed borrow from the Bible to make him the chosen one. But this
Yeah.
time they went down the wrong path. Unlike, say, Neo from the Matrix, Anakin went down the wrong path.
Didn't they make it canon that it was actually Palpatine who impregnated her? Not
No.
physically, but yeah, I'm pretty sure I read that.
I haven't seen that anywhere.
No.
I have to look it up.
I mean, if it was,
Interesting.
it might have been in the pre-Disney got stuff, but they never in the movies. No.
I'll look it up. Yeah, not in the movies, but since then, like it's.
Was
Oh,
there any
no.
explanation why Shmi Skywalker was chosen?
I don't think so.
I mean,
I'll
I mean, there
Interesting.
could be some merit to it because in that wretched ninth movie, Episode 9, he let his clones just wander off and have a kid. You
Mhm.
know,
Yeah,
who
yeah.
ended up being Rey. So I don't care if it's spoilers. Nobody in there deserves to have any spoilers in that
Yeah.
last trilogy.
Yeah, right. I will say this, that if there was one moment that actually added to the lore of Darth Vader, you got to point a finger at Rogue One, that scene at the end where he's trying to retrieve the plans
Yeah.
and he just goes Wolverine berserker mode. And for me, being a lifelong Star Wars fan, that was one of the greatest Star Wars moments I've ever seen, where they showed the full rage and evilness of Darth Vader to be able to just slaughter an entire platoon
kinda-
of rebels.
It just kind of makes sense with the whole Captain Tillis thing when he was choking him in Star Wars, and you go, "He's not letting him answer." Now we know why he didn't let him answer. Like, we're just a diplomatic ship. Like, dude, I saw you. I caught the license plate number. How dare you lie to me? I was like, now that makes sense why he just strangled him while asking a rhetorical question.
Yeah. Now, the only problem with that scene in Rogue One is the events of Rogue One directly lead into A New Hope, where we see a slower moving Vader battling Obi-Wan. And at the time, like in 1977, that lightsaber battle was thrilling. Like, oh my God, this lightsaber could lop off any piece of your body. But only in hindsight, when you see what the power of the Jedi and the Force allow someone to do, it makes that lightsaber duel in Star Wars a little lackluster.
Well, some fans did their own edit of it.
I've seen that, yeah.
So there are people now who have spliced that into their copy. And basically it says, oh, okay, because it picks up right where Luke is yelling about Ben, and then you see Obi-Wan get struck down. And so then it just picks up seamlessly after that. So if you want to edit out the old fight between two old men, sure. You could do it like that. I did like that George, from a 35,000-foot point of view, had the arc of Vader, which is why he is on Mount Rushmore of all villains of all time. Because when others came in the TV shows to flesh him out, like if you see the performance of Hayden Christensen in the Ashoka series, there's a moment where you actually feel like, wow, when an actor's given actual direction and a script to work with, you get that performance. And I go, there he is. Because also, and in that, the rumor is in that scene in Episode 3 when they're like, Master Skywalker, there's too many of them, and he ignites the lightsaber, and it got really dark. There was rumors that Ron Howard and Steven Spielberg, who had always wanted to direct Star Wars movies, and they thought that was the end of it, so they would sneak on and get uncredited scenes of and ideas of what to direct, and that might have been one of them.
Huh. Interesting.
Because George just didn't have it in him.
Now, another moment I put up there is one of my favorite Star Wars moments was during the series Obi-Wan on the Disney Channel. And I was a little concerned because you knew that Obi-Wan and Vader were going to face off during this season, or during the series, but would it screw up the line in Star Wars where Darth Vader says, when I last saw you, I was but the learner. Now I am the master.
It absolutely did.
And so you're like, don't screw it up, don't screw it up. So then on Obi-Wan, when they finally have their big battle toward the end of the season, Obi-Wan schooled Darth Vader. And I thought it was cool, and I'm not using that term schooled lightly. They used that moment to make sure that line that came later in Star Wars remained unaffected, because when Vader says, I was the learner, now I'm the master. In that scene in Obi-Wan, he was the learner. He got his butt kicked by Obi-Wan, and we saw what Obi-Wan was fully capable of in that episode. It was really great.
Yeah, I call that plot armor because we know they have to meet up in the movie.
Yeah.
Because he had schooled him when he put him in the lava.
Yeah.
That was the whole point. Like he said, I have the high ground, Anakin. I've taught you this. Don't do it.
Yeah.
No, when they in Obi-Wan when they put Vader in, I said, you guys, I hated that. I absolutely like why. Just he has so many servants because that was the whole thing. Because then it also made him see a presence I haven't felt since. And then he walked away. I'm like, well, I guess it was only 8 years, man. It wasn't like 19 like we originally thought. Jeez.
Exactly.
It was only 8 years ago. I have a presence I haven't felt since.
Yeah. So imagine, creating original work that takes place, after the prequels, before the original trilogy, and you have to walk this line of not screwing up the mythology that's been established.
I know it's a fine line. Don't walk it. Just leave Vader out of it. You have all those Inquisitors.
Yeah.
Have them be the ones who are doing this, or some bounty hunting, because then it's the threat of, because that's who Obi-Wan's trying to hide from.
Yeah.
He's not supposed to know about you.
Yeah.
That's the whole point. Like he thought he died too. Maybe Obi-Wan's dead by now. That's why he haven't gone on a crusade-like hunt.
Oh, right.
You burnt me, man. You cut off my 3 good arms, my three good appendages, left the robot one on there. I mean, what a hit.
Yeah.
I mean, I have 1 robot arm, 2 good legs, and a good arm. You cut all 3 of those, you bastard.
Yeah. They did show his rage during the Obi-Wan series, but yeah, you're right. Andrew, where do you rank Darth Vader? Number 1?
Number
on your
1,
list? Okay.
yes. And always has been since I first saw Empire Strikes Back.
There you go.
And I thought it was interesting comparing Darth Vader in the first movie to Empire Strikes Back.
Mm-hmm.
In the first movie, he doesn't say much.
He's kind of more of a henchman in the first one, yeah.
And he's always like, as you wish, to Moff Tarkin. But it's like, after Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, it doesn't seem like he would be taking orders from Moff Tarkin.
Yeah.
Scene where everything else in Star Wars makes it look like he's pretty much the number 2 guy.
Yeah.
Under the Emperor. So
in the canon lore, he is number 2 because Tarkin was planning to do a little coup. And so that's why Vader was on there, to make sure there's no shenanigans that happens. The guy he was choking, I find your lack of faith disturbing. Yeah. That guy was always telling Tarkin, you have power now next to the Emperor.
I find your lack of faith disturbing.
Yeah. So, and you think when you get choked without anyone putting their hands on it, you'd be less coup-ish.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, I'm right there with you, Andrew. I put Darth Vader right up there. Number 3 on my list, I'm going old school. I'm going classic. This is someone who has haunted many, many children's dreams for most of our lives.
The ruby slippers. What have you done with them? Give them back to me, or I'll...
It's too late. There they are, and there they'll stay.
Give me back my slippers. I'm the only one that knows how to use them. They're no use to you. Give them back to me. Give them back.
Keep tight inside of them. Their magic must be very powerful, or she wouldn't want them so badly.
I love when Glinda says, "Now be gone before someone drops a house on you," and she looks around like, "Is there a house coming?"
Cherish that.
So here's the deal with the Wicked Witch. In The Wizard of Oz, there were no gray areas. It was black and white. She was pure evil. She was terrifying. I love hearing the story from Margaret Hamilton, who played the witch. When she was told that she was cast in The Wizard of Oz, she was like, "Ooh, what role?" And they're like, "The Wicked Witch." And she's like, "Oh, man." And she was disappointed at first, but then she really embraced it, and she made it her own and became one of the all-time great movie villains in history. And unfortunately, in public, she scared kids, so she kind of had a crusade to try to educate kids about movie making and that it was acting and it was makeup and stuff like that. And she appeared on an episode of Mr. Rogers to try and explain what went behind creating that character. Now, with the passage of time, and they end up, what came first? I think the book came first, then the stage musical called Wicked, and now we got Wicked Part 1 last year, and we're going to be getting Wicked Part 2, which now has a second part of that title called, Wicked for Good, which is now giving us a little bit of a backstory of the Wicked Witch, who now goes by the name of Elphaba. And I don't know if we discussed this on the podcast, but do you know how they came up with the name Elphaba?
I forgot.
Was it the author's initials like L. Frank Baum?
Yeah, so Elphaba is
Okay.
LFB, the initials of the author, turned into a first name, played by the marvelous Cynthia Erivo. And so now they're giving her a little bit of a backstage where she's kind of a backstory where she's a sympathetic character in the first part of Wicked, and she's sort of an outcast who befriends Glinda, and we're watching her arc where it seems like everyone but Elphaba seems to have a nefarious plan, and she seems to be the victim of their plan. So it's going to be interesting when the sequel comes out, seeing how they connect the dots from Wicked Part 1 to The Wizard of Oz.
I don't think they're going to do it. I think that's why I said cherish Wizard of Oz, what you have, because anyone 30 or under, that's their Wicked Witch of Oz.
Yeah.
It's not going to be the 1930s one. They might watch it like, oh, what's this?
I disagree. I think that they're going to draw a direct line to the Wizard of Oz, going right up to the moment where she's
because the wizard's
liquidated.
The villain.
Yeah, basically they reveal that he's behind all this because he needed her to say that magic incantation, which gave him the flying monkeys. And all
wait!
that.
You mean they're gonna connect it to when she melts? Like
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So I think they're going to take it right up
Sure,
to that
okay.
because obviously Wicked started off with her death, so it's inevitable that they're going to depict her death. But I'm curious to see how they're going to take us on that journey because she's a sympathetic character, and so now, are we going to watch her death in the sequel and feel bad and have tears in her eyes? I don't know.
That's what they're going for. That's what I was intending. That the old school. Oh, that's a villain.
Yeah.
She wants Dorothy. She wants those slippers, and
yeah.
she's the clear villain of this. And then a bucket of water gets her. But
yeah,
that anyone 30. I feel I'm arbitrary doing it time, but I think 30 and under, for moving forward, this is their new.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting. Like I have a couple of sisters who, aren't into movies as much as I am, but my God, did they embrace Wicked Part 1. They were in the theater crying and singing and going to see it again. And I'm like, wow, there are people really, really embracing
this is their Vader.
Wicked. Yeah, exactly. So it's going to be interesting. I mean, if you look at teaser trailers and stuff, the Dorothy, Tin Man, Lion, Scarecrow are all going to be depicted in the sequel. We saw a little glimpse of them in Wicked Part 1 where they're kind of returning back to Emerald City with the broom of the Wicked Witch. So it's going to be interesting to see how the story is told. So it's definitely going to kind of portray the Wicked Witch in a new light to be more of a sympathetic character, where in The Wizard of Oz, she was just evil, just soulless. So
and they killed her sister.
And it makes me wonder too. And someone just brought this up recently. So you got the Wicked Witch of the West. Glinda's the Good Witch of the North. Her sister was the Wicked Witch of the East, I believe, the one that the house fell on. So is there some witch of the South? I've never read anything about a witch of the South.
I think you just pitched a movie there.
That's. I was just gonna say.
Oh,
yeah.
You're
Coming in and out.
tap your mic. There you go.
Okay. So I was gonna ask, do you think Universal is gonna milk this like
Yes.
how Disney milks Star Wars and Marvel?
Well, the
'Cause
first one was a monster hit
Yeah.
when you include merchandising and all that stuff. So if this second one is also a monster hit, then they're going to be doing a Hobbit thing where they might take, the story of the Witch of the South and break it into 3 movies. I don't know. So we'll see more.
Does anyone know anything about Witch of the South? I completely.
No, I'm going to have
blank
to.
on
I'm going to have to do some digging online and see if L. Frank Baum has mentioned the Witch of the South in any of his books.
Because
but-
if there isn't any source material in it, oh boy, oh boy, it's the Wild West. Who can get a story out?
Yeah. Well, one thing I always kind of laugh at is when you watch The Wizard of Oz, Dorothy follows the yellow brick road, but there's also a red brick road, and a lot of people look at that and go, wonder where that goes. And I think if you watch a little further in the movie, I think it dead ends at some point. But yeah, that's always fun to think about. Where does that red brick road go?
When you said dead ends, I was like, yeah, Joe, it's called background scenery. It can't go forever. It's the backlot of what? The Universal, for God's sakes.
Now, if you do get a chance to visit Hollywood and you're looking for a studio tour to go on, Sony Pictures, which gives studio tours, used to be MGM, which is where they filmed The Wizard of Oz. And imagine being part of a group tour and having the tour guide point to a large soundstage and go, that's where Munchkin Land was, and there's still a trap door in there that the Wicked Witch fell through. And when I was there in 2011, I think it was, I said, can we go in there and watch? And she said, nope, they're filming Spider-Man. And I don't remember which Spider-Man was filming in 2011, but we couldn't get access to it. But I'm hoping one of these days when I tour Sony Pictures,
probably
I
one of
get
the
to
Andrew
see
Garfield movies.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking, yeah. So, yeah, if you're a Wizard of Oz fan, when you enter Sony Pictures, you see a big rainbow that stretches across the walkway there, and they really embrace their Wizard of Oz history there. So, Andrew, where do you rank the Wicked Witch?
I didn't write her down, but for some reason I didn't even think of her. But she would be pretty up there with me. Like I mentioned on this podcast before, that's one of the first movies I ever remember watching. As a little kid, and it scared me to death.
Oh yeah, the flying monkeys and all that. Yeah.
For me, the worst was the talking trees.
That
threw apples.
How would you like if someone came and picked something off of you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then leading up to the climax when it shows her in her castle and all of her minions, her dudes.
Oh, the Winky Guards. Yeah.
Yeah. That whole sequence just terrified me.
Yeah. If you're big into Hallmark ornaments, they just had their big 2025 release in July, and then they're going to do a second wave in October. But one of the ornaments that I picked up on the first release is this sort of animatronic Wizard of Oz ornament where you push a button, you see the Wicked Witch, and she's like, I'm mounting. And you watch her kind of sink into the ornament until all that's left is the hat. And I'm like, oh, this is awesome.
Very nice.
I had to buy it.
How very bold of Hallmark to do that. And usually they don't do anything kind of even remotely violent.
Yeah, no, they've been embracing it. Yeah.
So Glinda is originally the good witch of the South.
Oh. Huh.
Okay, then who's the North?
So
in the movie she's in the North.
Right. Yeah. And so I'm still trying to read up on it, but they merged the North and the South together for the movie. So the info's out there. It's
so
just,
basically what you're saying is
so much reading.
Fertile territory.
Yes.
Well, I hope you're happy, Joe. You've just caused a gold rush.
Well, what's interesting, I don't know if you saw the movie, the Oz the Great and Powerful, which was filmed here in Michigan, but they made no reference to the Witch of the South in that one. They did the traditional characters there.
Yep.
So, and that was horribly miscast with James Franco. I much prefer Jeff Goldblum as the wizard, but yeah. All right, so that's number 3. Now, the rest of these villains on my list, not necessarily ranked, but I'm just going to throw out some of my favorites. One of them is this guy.
Hello? Anybody home? Hey, think McFly, think.
Biff and Tom Wilson, who played him in all the Back to the Future movies, I don't know if you can give him enough credit for what he contributed to that trilogy. Biff was such a great character, and to portray him with different intensity levels, like playing Griff in Back to the Future 2, it was like he was on crack or something in that one. He just took it all the way up here. And then in the third one, the Western, he played Mad Dog.
Buford Tannen.
Yeah.
I hate that name, Mad Dog.
When I first saw the third one, I didn't know that was really Tom Wilson playing him, because the whole time he has the hat on, he's got his face is dirty, he's got the beard. It wasn't until several years later I'm like, oh, yeah.
That shows you how versatile Tom Wilson is. And
That's second movie because he played old Biff.
That's right.
He played Biff at the end of the number one. He's like, "What the hell's going on?" And when he sees the DeLorean fly away,
Yeah.
Then he plays Griff.
Then
he plays Old Man Griff, and then he plays Donald Trump Griff.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. He was asked to carry a lot of weight in these movies, and
he was an anchor
really
villain
delivered.
throughout he anchored that antagonist role through the trilogy. Yeah.
Yeah, and here I am toot my own horn again, but I've met him several times, and it pleases me to say that he is one of the nicest celebrities you will ever meet. And if you want him to biff you, he will, but it's done from a place of love. When I had him sign my Hot Wheels car, Hot Wheels released his little Ford convertible with the horse manure in it. And so I handed it to him, and he looks at it, and he laughs, and he goes, "Who do you want me to make this out to?" I said, "Can you make it out to Butthead?" And he goes, "You got it." And so I have this Hot Wheels car that says, "To Butthead, Tom Wilson, Biff," and it's one of my prized possessions. And one time when I was standing in line, I was in Philadelphia standing in line to meet one of the celebrities there, and Tom Wilson had kind of an escort with him. He came through a curtain, and I was standing in this long line. He was trying to make his way through the line, and I happened to be the one to kind of back up to give him space. And I was wearing a Back to the Future shirt, and he stops, and he looks at me, and he looks at my shirt, and he goes, "Nice shirt." And I go, "Yeah." And I go to shake his hand, and he sticks his hand out. But like I had the fist, and he grabs my fist, and then he changes to a fist, and I grab his fist, and he's like, "What are we doing here?" And we busted out laughing, and then he made his way through the line. So I had a couple of moments with Tom Wilson, and I want people to know that he's one of the nicest celebrities you will ever meet.
So he's the anti-Chevy Chase?
He is, yeah. He's the polar opposite of Chevy Chase. But, yeah, you're right. He's kind of the backbone of Back to the Future, and he did whatever was asked of him.
He was the villain when Marty's family was losers. He was the villain in 1955 when he almost raped his mom.
Yeah.
And then, I was like, that now in hindsight, I look like this is a lot darker than I originally intended when I watched it. But then he's there in number 2 where he murdered George McFly.
Yeah.
And he was willing to murder Marty.
And think about that version of Biff, too, at the end of Back to the Future, where he's like, Mr. McFly, your book is here. Like, he's like a completely different version of Biff. So.
I was going to say, we don't know a lot about Biff, like his motivation. I don't want to say origin story.
Yeah.
But in the first one, you see him walking out in the neighborhood, and you hear, "Biff, where are you going?" And he goes, "I'm going to the dance, Grandma." So he lives with his grandma.
Now, I think that was in the second
Was it in the
one,
second
because
one?
I don't think we saw that in the first one.
Okay. They had to go back in time.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
The second one. And you know that he's mean to everybody. Remember when those kids are playing ball? He takes the ball and he throws it on top of a house.
Yeah.
But other than that, you don't really know anything else about Biff. It's just that he's your classic bully.
Yeah. And if he's living with his grandmother, obviously he lost his parents, or he was given away by his parents, or there's some dark backstory.
She was a grandma, right? He looked like he was about 18, 19.
Yeah.
High school.
So grandma's probably in her 50s or 60s. That's 1955.
Yeah.
So the grandma's born around the turn of the century, which means Buford Tannen, before he went to prison, had fathered a kid.
Oh, Nick! Now you're talking
1885.
You're talking a true sequel we need to write.
I mean, it's 1885. He's already in his 30s, late 30s. The Buford Tannen looking like that. So before he gets carted off to prison, he's already done whatever he has to, because there's Grandma.
Oh my God!
But I do think Robert Zemeckis put that in there, just as a little sliver to be like, oh, he doesn't have a normal home life, obviously, or not obviously, but it's implied that just lives with his grandma, no parents around, so maybe he had a trouble.
Yeah,
that's why he, for all we know, Grandma was putting cigarettes out on him as a kid.
Sure.
Now you said a dark moment is in 2 when they reveal that he either murdered or had George McFly murdered, but you can go back to the first movie, like what was in intention in the car with Lorraine. That was a really, really dark moment. And you see the seriousness of the situation on George's face, like, okay, I can't run away from this. I need to stop this. So there's some pretty dark stuff in Back to the Future.
Yeah, when you stop, when I watch them, I'm like, oh my god,
Yeah. Yeah.
jeez.
All right, the next villain on my list, I have kind of two characters occupying the same slot here. We got Arnold Schwarzenegger as the Terminator in the first movie that came out in 1984. But I also wanted to discuss the T-1000, played by Robert Patrick in 1991. What's great about that is in the first movie, Arnold plays the Terminator. Terminator's this ruthless killing machine that stops at nothing. And in the second one, he's the hero. He's the defender of what's his name? The hero,
John
Connor.
And so that was an interesting arc for that particular character, even though they were different. I don't want to say different models, but basically it was they reprogrammed the Terminator and sent him back. But then the villain in T2 is a new version of this ruthless killing machine, and he was even far more terrifying than what we saw in the first Terminator. Just ruthless, and almost took some sort of joy in killing the foster parents and all that stuff. Your foster parents are dead. He was just ruthless, and what the joy in both of those movies is like, how in the hell do you stop these ruthless killing machines? So, the Terminators in the Terminator movies to me are rank among the greatest villains in movie history. Do you concur?
They're not in my top 10. Because they're terrifying, but the problem is it's Skynet that's the villain. They're just because they literally reprogrammed the same Arnold to now protect me. So basically, if someone said, "Don't kill me, protect me," the T-1000 will go, "Come here, buddy." But when they're coming after you, there's no end to it. I mean, it murdered the stepdad because he was complaining and it was irritating. Just put it through the milk carton into his brain. It was going to do it anyway, I guess, just to make sure that they were covering. But like Reese was saying, doesn't sleep, will never stop.
Yeah.
Always coming for you. So
yeah, and I don't think we had seen anything like that in movies before that. Just this unstoppable, merciless killing machine, and kind of established a new type of villain in movies and sci-fi movies. Andrew?
Maybe a couple years earlier in Predator would have been close, because he kills everybody except Arnold. But yeah, no, the Arnold in the first one, and then T-1000 in the second one.
Now, keep in mind, Terminator came out in 84. Predator came out, I think, in 87. So,
right.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I was thinking of. Yeah, you're right. But I had T2 in the mind when I.
Yeah. Oh, I see. Yeah.
I kind of get the feeling that the Arnold robot is more versatile, and he can protect. He can do whatever he's programmed to. I get the feeling that the liquid metal guy was created just simply to kill.
Yeah.
That because you could turn his body into whatever type of projectile he needs to, and yeah.
But what he couldn't do is like replicate moving parts. So that's why he carried like a police issue pistol, because he couldn't like form a pistol because it had intricate moving parts. So
can't form
he was
complex
effective
things.
if he was just one solid piece, but he couldn't have springs and mechanisms.
And he can become chemical components, like elements of a bomb.
Right, exactly.
Yes, that's all.
So Terminator's on my list. Also occupying one spot by two different actors, I guess you can say, is the Joker. In 1989, we got our first real movie version of the Joker with Jack Nicholson just going over the top, crazy in Batman 1989. And then, I remember when Heath Ledger was cast to play Joker in The Dark Knight in 2008, people rolled their eyes and said, "Come on, the kid from The Patriot and did he do Brokeback Mountain before The Dark Knight?" And people rolled their eyes and said, this movie is horribly miscast. And then you see what Heath Ledger did with this role, and he was outstanding. And what's so terrifying, I guess, about when you think about both characters is their mission, their goal is just anarchy. Just anarchy. Yeah. They're not trying to, rob a bank. They're not trying to blow up Gotham City, or maybe a little. Oh, and the Dark Knight Rises, that was the motivation. But the Joker is just wants to cause chaos, to cause anarchy, and that's what makes him so terrifying.
And I like that the Joker says, "You're just as messed up as I am. If given the right scenario, you're just as monstrous as I am."
Yeah.
You just like to think that you're good.
That's why I had no interest in the Joker movies that came out with Joaquin Phoenix, because Joker works best when he's the opposite side of the coin of Batman. They need each other, and that's stated in the movie. We need each other. And so I don't think the Joker is as effective in a standalone movie. I think you need to see him match wits with Batman, and that's what makes him Batman's greatest member of his rogues gallery. And so both portrayals by Jack Nicholson and Heath Ledger rank among the greatest movie villains of all time, because they're just the perfect foil for Batman, and really test him because they're so unpredictable. Like, how can a detective figure out what the Joker's going to do next when he's just all about chaos? So Joker, Mount Rushmore, where do you put the Joker?
Yeah, I put Joker pretty close to Mount Rushmore. He's not on my Mount Rushmore yet. He's in my top 5. He didn't make Mount Rushmore simply for the fact that he needs society. Like, he's not afraid to die. He's very close. I mean, you're making an argument that I could put him on Mount Rushmore as we're talking right now. But yeah, he's pretty close. He's one of those really good villains. Because I think, like I said, from Heath Ledger's perspective, I like the fact that he said, "Hey, listen, you're just like me. I'm it's like a dark reflection." And I love those motivations about a villain. It's not just, I'm robbing a bank because I need money to pay my henchmen and put them in clown costumes.
Yeah.
Like, there's a purpose to what he does.
I'll never forget the audience reaction when I'm sitting in a theater watching The Dark Knight, and you're watching these events unfold, and seemingly unrelated to what's happening in the room, the Joker says, "You want to see me make this pencil disappear?" And you're like, what the hell is he talking about? And then all of a sudden, wham! And the crowd was like, oh my God.
Terrifying.
Oh, geez. And he saw it coming before anyone else, including the audience, knew what was unfolding. He had it planned several steps
For
ahead.
a guy who likes to just go with the flow, he has eerie plans, at least in the short term and long term.
Yeah.
And the fact that I like that menace about him. He says, "You want to know how I got these scars?"
Yeah.
When he says
and he
that,
kept changing the story,
Yeah.
too. You want to know how I got these scars? And he told several different
but
versions
each
of that
one
story.
was a disturbing story where he tried to do something. He was innocent in that, and then he turned each story. When the one with his father, the one with his wife, and then she left him because she couldn't stand the sight of him.
Yeah. Yeah. I came away thinking they're self-inflicted, just so he can tell these fabricated tales to try and garner some sympathy. But yeah, I think they're self-inflicted. Andrew, the Joker?
Yes, he's probably in my top 3, up there with Vader. And I also wrote down both Nicholson and Heath Ledger.
Yeah.
With Nicholson, he's only slightly less terrifying than, and he was kind of more of a perv, the way he acted around Kim Basinger.
Well, can you blame him?
Oh yeah. But then he did the same thing with the Penguin in Batman Returns. And I'm like, why are you making these guys pervs? Yeah, they're villains, but your target audience is also kind of like kids. You know? But anyway, yeah, both of those guys, terrifying.
Yeah.
And even the version of him, the Joker on the early '90s Batman TV series, the animated series, was amazing. I loved it.
Oh, voiced by Mark
Hamill.
Yeah.
Yep.
What was interesting about Jack Nicholson's portrayal of the Joker is a lot of that dialogue made no sense, and it just sort of reinforced that he's just a lunatic. When you think of lines like "never rub another man's rhubarb," well, what does that mean? Or "you ever dance with the devil in the pale moonlight?" That doesn't mean anything. It's just like this nonsense, and you're like, this guy is nuts. So great job, and unfortunately, with like Batman Forever, Tommy Lee Jones tried to out Nicholson, and I thought he failed miserably in that. Like let Nicholson do his
I
thing.
think both him and Jim Carrey were trying to channel that, and
Exactly.
and neither character is like that.
Yeah.
So it was weird. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. All right, another. And here's a clip to set up my next villain.
Do you really think you have a chance against us, Mr. Cowboy?
Yippee-ki-yay, mother.
Oh, I gotta censor it.
Yeah.
But Hans Gruber. A lot of people, when you talk about movie villains, Hans Gruber is one of the names that immediately comes to mind. And unfortunately, we only got him for one film. Unlike some of these other characters, we saw them over several films. But Hans Gruber, just fantastically portrayed by Alan Rickman. That was his first movie role, I believe. I think he had been a stage actor up until that point.
Yeah.
And begrudgingly accepted the role and became an immediate star. And he was so great in that. Like when he runs into John McClane and immediately shifts into a mode where he pretends he's one of the hostages and kind of does an American accent on the spot. That was, I don't know if people realize how impressive that is to get out of that German accent or whatever that accent was that he had and try to do an American accent as soon as he realizes who he just ran into. And
he was
it was just a great, great performance.
East German, because I remember Die Hard with a Vengeance, which I enjoyed that movie because I enjoy Peter Gruber, Hans Gruber's brother.
Oh, see, I don't remember that. That's interesting.
Yeah, because Peter Gruber, and he actually he was more villainous, I thought, because he terrorized an entire city of New York.
Yeah.
Compared to, and I mean, both were doing a heist, but it's just, no, I loved Alan Rickman's performance. Does he make Mount Rushmore? No.
No, I don't know if I'd put him on my Mount Rushmore, but he sure is a fun villain.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And I'm sure you guys have heard this story before, but when they were filming the scene of him falling from the building, the director says, all right, we're going to drop you on the count of 3. 1, drop. And the look of panic on his face was not acting. He thought something had given way, and they did that just to get his reaction. And I could imagine him laying there on the crash pad or whatever going, you bastard. But they got what the result that they wanted. But he was great in that film and just ruthless.
I'd love to see the exec that comes in and for the dailies. Wow, that looks like Alan's really frightened there. Yeah, isn't it?
And then there's that moment, of course, in the film where, here we just talked about the Joker just not necessarily robbing banks, just creating anarchy. And then it's revealed in Die Hard, you're just a bunch of bank robbers. And I thought that was an interesting twist that, like everybody else, they're motivated by money.
Yep.
So, Andrew Hans Gruber.
I didn't have him written down, but he is a very good villain. And someone who just recently saw Die Hard for the first time several months ago, I loved it.
Mm-hmm.
He's a perfect villain for that type of movie, for that type of action movie, where there's also a little bit of comedy here and there.
Yeah.
I didn't know that was his first.
First movie
role. Wow.
Yeah.
Great role for it being a first.
Yeah.
But yeah, Alan Rickman, great actor. Passed away several years ago.
Yeah.
But great actor. Yeah.
Of course, he went on to play Snape in the Harry Potter movies, and he was great.
He was in Dogma, and then he was in Galaxy Quest, which one of my favorite movies.
Yeah, he was awesome in that. Yeah. We got to talk about this guy, and then maybe we'll go around the table here after we throw out this guy, because I would imagine he would have to be on your list as well. We're talking about Tom Hiddleston's Loki. We were introduced to Loki in Thor in 2011. He came back as the main antagonist in the Avengers in 2012. He's the one who wreaked havoc on the world and opened up that portal to New York City. He returned in Dark World. He was outstanding in Ragnarok, where now all of a sudden we started to see a shift in tone where you kind of like the guy. He kind of was a little bit of a hero, but, given a chance to, throw Thor under a truck, he would do it in a heartbeat. But we saw kind of a new side in Thor Ragnarok where you kind of cheered for him a little bit. And then Infinity War, I remember thinking, no.
It's so early. They took him out so early.
It's like, no, he's not gone, is he? Like, no, he'll be back.
I would have loved, I didn't mind Thanos strangling him. I just would have thought it would happen in Wakanda
Yeah.
when he's fighting everybody, and then over there he actually kills
Yeah.
Loki, and Thor gets just enraged, and he said he should have gone. Yeah, that would have made just little things like that. Just because you deprived us of Tom Hiddleston for that.
Yeah,
movie.
exactly, for the entire length of the movie. And it was, that goes to show you that over the course of the movies that came before it, you started to care about the character, and his death was emotional. It was a gut punch.
And you brought up a good point. We started to see that in Thor: Dark World when his mother died, and he was in that prison cell, and he found out about it.
Yeah.
He kind of like trashes his cell.
Yeah, yeah. And so then we got to see him a little bit in Endgame during the time heist where we went back in time and the timeline changed a little bit because Loki got his hands on the cube.
And that became the TV Loki.
Right. And so then he was given the entire two seasons, right?
Yeah.
I saw the first season. I never saw the second season.
First season's way better.
Oh,
than
sure.
the second.
Yeah. And so, we got to see this evolution of a guy who was just, pretty much pure evil. And maybe it was justified because he was considered the adopted child and Thor got all the adoration and everything. But so here's a villain with a motivation that, you might be able to sympathize with. And we've watched him go from just being ruthless to sympathetic and humorous and likable. And so it's been an incredible journey and with Tom Hiddleston playing him the entire way. And he gets an awful lot of credit for bringing some compassion and charisma to this role. But I don't know. I'm putting Loki way up there on my list as one of the all-time great movie villains.
Yeah, he has. Yeah. I'd make an argument that I could put him on my Mount Rushmore simply for the fact that I love his journey. And this is my personal. I love a villain's journey a little bit more than a hero's journey.
Yeah. Well, those are the most interesting villains. Are the ones where you're like, yeah, I kind of see where you're coming from. Like, I don't have him on my list, but in Skyfall, Javier Bardem plays a villain in Skyfall, and when he explains his motivation that he was abandoned and left to die by, and you're like, geez, I kind of get it.
The suicide pill didn't work.
Yeah,
the one that didn't
figured him.
Yeah, look at your work, mother. I'm like, oh wow, yeah. I'd be looking at them. You better, wow, lady.
Yeah. So yeah, to me, those are the most interesting villains when there's a reason why they are the way they are, and I like getting the backstory of what makes a villain a villain. Like you said, Magneto. Like he turns into a sympathetic character when you realize that he's a survivor of the Holocaust.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I was also gonna just make the comparison to Magneto. Loki, you can reason with him and you can have him on your side as long as you're always one step ahead of him.
Oh, sure.
Because he's always going to have that self motivation to get what he wants, but you just have to make sure that he's not taken away from you.
Yeah.
That he's taken away from someone else who has self motivation. Then you can get along with him.
Yeah, right.
Are you? I don't know. Did you grow up in a religious house, Joe?
Well, I was raised Catholic. My mom introduced us to it, but she never really pushed us into practicing. So,
I went to church every Sunday morning and night and Wednesday nights. So, are you familiar with Jacob and Esau in Genesis? They're brothers.
No.
It reminds me. I think they might have got the idea from Jacob and Esau for Thor and Loki.
Mm-hmm.
Jacob was like a trickster. He tricked his brother into giving him his birthright for a bowl of soup or something. That's something Loki would do to Thor. So I was just looking that up online, and everyone's like, yeah, they're definitely the same sort of thing. And anything like that in Hinduism, Nick?
Of brothers doing stuff like that? There's actually...
No, I mean you and your brother doing that.
Oh, no.
No, joking.
No. And I would probably end up... would I trick my brother? I probably would, but I'd fail because he can be sinister when he wants to be.
Oh, yeah. I can relate to that.
Yeah.
All right, Nick, let's throw it to you. Throw some names out of movie villains that made your cut that we haven't discussed yet.
Well, I've looked over at Andrew's list, and some of them are on there, like, Hannibal Lecter's on there, and Anton Chigurh from Javier Bardem's character. But if I was thinking out loud, I want to put him on there, but we never get enough screen time because he's just a giant eyeball. Is Sauron from Lord of the Rings?
Oh, yeah.
But the threat of Sauron is there, but you never really get into his motivations because it's never if we're talking about just movies, then I can't put him up there.
What about Gollum / Smeagol? Do you consider him a villain?
Yeah, I consider him a villain. And that's actually a pretty good one. That's his journey from a simple person, then motivated by greed or enticed by greed, and then becoming Smeagol.
I mean, the ring basically corrupted him into the form that he became. Right? He was like a human.
He looked like a hobbit. They were of the same hobbit species, but it enhances anything about you.
Yeah.
So he had that greed, he had that desire in him, and that ability to kill if the greed is powerful enough, and that's what the ring brought out. And then he used it for evil, to spy and steal and sometimes kill, and so it brought So I and then he had his redemption arc. I could see that again, motivated by it's not like he became good.
Yeah,
but
do they show him before on screen? I can't picture.
There's some flashbacks
in Return of the King. The Return of the King opening is him as a
I was going to say
Andy Serkis
I was going to say, is it Andy Serkis playing himself? Okay, I do not remember that.
Yeah, I need to revisit.
You
that,
actually see him murder his friend when his friend found the ring in the river, and you see it. It's like, I wanted it. It's my birthday gift, and give it to me. It's like, oh, that iteration is in there. I'd put Gollum in the top 10 because he has moments where you could see the ring doing things to him, but in the end, he succumbed to the ring. That's why he bit the finger off of Frodo. And
that was a shocking moment.
Yeah.
Andrew, you got any names you want to throw out? You touched a little bit on Hannibal Lecter. Do you want to expound on that?
Sure. So I saw Hannibal, which is the second movie.
Yeah.
I saw that first.
Okay.
And I saw that in the theater when I was 16. We snuck into R-rated movies like we always used to in high school at Great Lakes. And that movie terrified me. Do you remember Gary Oldman played the disfigured guy?
Yeah.
Well, Mason, would you like a popper?
Now, I'm aware of it, but after seeing Silence of the Lambs, I had no interest in pursuing that character anymore because I didn't see Silence of the Lambs in theater. I remember watching it on television at my night job one time, and I was shaking. I was shaking after the movie, and I don't like doing that to myself. So I saw Silence of the Lambs, but I never watched any of the other projects that came after that.
But that type of extremely intelligent serial killer who has killed tons of people, and even when he gets caught in Silence of the Lambs, he somehow gets his way out of it.
Yeah.
But then also in those next two movies, Hannibal and Red Dragon.
Well, Red Dragon's the prequel. He got caught in Red Dragon.
He's the prequel. With Ed Norton. Yeah. He's just terrifying.
And Mads Mikkelsen did the TV version of Hannibal.
I heard that was good. I haven't seen it.
It did a good. You see the thing, the wires getting off. You're like, oh my god, because you know where it's going to.
Yeah. Oh, sure.
And no, it's I agree with Andrew. Hannibal Lecter is, yikes.
Yeah. There's like a line that's crossed. Like there are villains, like the ones that are on my list. To a certain extent, they're kind of fun and entertaining, and then you get to a character like Hannibal Lecter, where you're like, yikes! This is awful.
Wasn't he also based on
Ed Gein?
Ed Gein,
yeah.
Yeah, we talked about that a long time ago.
Yeah, like Norman Bates and those types of characters are all kind of sprung from that true horror story.
And Nick mentioned this a minute ago when he was cheating by looking at my notes. I know, Joe, you don't like No Country for Old Men, but Javier Bardem's villain in that is up there.
Oh, I'll concede that point.
Terrifying, and how he kills people with that little gun.
The cattle.
That they use to kill cows.
Yeah. No, I'll agree with you that he's one of the most terrifying villains in film history. It's just, I talked about this on the podcast before, that I was just so angry that he kind of went unpunished at the end of the movie. He got into that car accident, and then they show him walk off into the sunset for the most part. I'm like, no, wait a second. He needs to be punished for his actions. And that's what I hated about the movie, is that he got away with what he got away with.
And then I just have four more, and I won't spend a whole lot of time on, but everyone knows Michael Myers from Halloween.
Yes.
Sure.
Dennis Hopper's character in Blue Velvet. Yes. His name is Frank Booth. Remind me, did you see that?
No, I have no interest.
I know it would,
that's a movie that wouldn't appeal to me.
It wouldn't be your type of movie, but the way that he's obsessed with Isabella Rossellini's character is, and he has this gas mask that, was it oxygen?
I think it's nitrous. I think it's nitrous.
Or nitrous. No, nitrous. Yeah.
So you've heard or read
I'm
about?
aware of it.
Yeah.
I got my finger on the pulse. Yeah.
Another Hans, not Hans Gruber, but Hans Landa from Inglourious Bastards, Christoph Waltz.
Oh my God.
His introduction to the Western audience.
Terrifying. Great.
Yep.
Oh,
That was the first time
Just
Americans
the opening
really saw him.
sequence. Like, if they would have rolled credits after that, that would have been worth the price of admission.
Yep.
Yeah.
What a bush, Shoshana.
And then my last one is the only female on my list, Nurse Ratched from One Flew Over Cuckoo's Nest.
Now, who was I just talking to about this? Was it one of you guys who recently watched Cuckoo's Nest and saw her in a whole new light? That she wasn't necessarily evil. She was doing the job she was asked to do. Even though I kind of argued that in the case with Billy, I think his name was, when he
The
had
Native
sex
American?
with the hooker. No.
Or-
The kid who had
Oh, the
sex with the
young-
hooker, and she kind of humiliated him and said, "I'm going to tell your mother," which led to his suicide. And I'm like, that's pretty evil. That's pretty nasty.
I know they
But-
did a prequel. Was it a series or a movie about her?
Oh, I had no idea.
And it's just
Oh,
called.
no, it was.
It's just called Ratchet. her
Yeah, I
last
think it was
name.
a series.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, supposedly she was just some dude doing her job. Yeah. So
Yeah,
no,
that's all I got on my list.
I have a couple other names I want to throw out quickly. We got just under 10 minutes left. I wanted to throw out another character along the lines of the Wicked Witch, someone who many kids watching this children's movie was probably scarred by this guy, the child catcher from Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, whose job it was to round up the children and imprison them on the orders of the Baron or whatever he was. Which coincidentally, the Baron in Chitty Chitty Bang Bang was played by Gerbert Frobe, I think that's how you pronounce his name, who was also Goldfinger in the Goldfinger James Bond movie. But the child catcher gave many people children nightmares, including me. I also need to throw out Lord Voldemort from the Harry Potter movies.
Sure.
It was interesting watching his journey, where we didn't really see him on screen the first couple of movies, and then he came. I think we saw
Fourth movie.
We saw him in the fourth one, and he was Harry's nemesis and killed his parents, and so he was a very compelling villain, and that led up to the big, huge battle at the end. A fun one that I want to throw out is when you watch the first two Rocky movies, Apollo isn't necessarily a villain. He was arrogant, he was cocky in the first one, and Rocky almost beat him and kind of taught him a lesson. Then Rocky 2 gives us a rematch, but they become, not adversaries, but allies, basically. The first, I feel, true villain we saw in the Rocky series was Clubber Lang, Mr. T, who played a role in the death of Mickey and handed Rocky his ass. And
Is that the third
That
movie?
was the third one.
I've only
And,
seen the first one.
Clubber Lang was a great villain, and the first time that Rocky was really tested by this guy who was, Mr. T was terrifying, and so he was great in that role. And then the last one I want to throw out that's just sort of a fun one is Dr. Evil, played by Mike Myers in the Austin Power movies. And, legend has it that it was Mike Myers impersonating Lorne Michaels from Saturday Night Live.
Oh, yeah, he talks just like that.
Yeah, exactly. And, gave us lines like, $1 million and sharks with laser beams on their friggin' heads and stuff like that. So he was a great villain, a lot of fun. Kind of poked fun at Blofeld from the James Bond movies, but they borrowed a lot from the James Bond movies and threw them all into the Austin Power movies. But to me, it's fascinating that Austin Powers was not based on anything we had seen on SNL. It was something that I guess his wife had suggested, because he would kind of do the voice when they were being playful or whatever. And she's like, have you ever thought of developing this character? And gave us this James Bond spoof that we had never really seen before that. And it was a lot of fun. And, the movies got, I thought, progressively worse as they went on. To me, the first one is a classic.
First one's good.
The first one was International Man of Mystery, and then The Spy Who Shagged Me, and then Goldmember. But Dr. Evil was a lot of fun, and of course played by Mike Myers as well. Any other final thoughts? Any other names you want to throw out before we wrap?
I have a rapid fire list. I know one is Khan Union Singh, played by Ricardo Montalban. I love it.
Khan.
I think he did a fantastic. I love that character. I love the way it's been portrayed. Even Benedict Cumberbatch, which he's played that role, and he played another one, Smog the Dragon.
Oh, right.
Oh yeah.
I love that portrayal. That's a psychopath in a dragon, and the other one was it's Dracula, and everyone likes to portray Dracula as this. Oh, I love Miss Mina. If you see Voyage of the Demeter, I love that Dracula. That Dracula says, "I'm a monster. I know what I am, and you're all going to pay for whatever you did to me."
Yeah, yeah. Dracula was a great. Well, I don't know if he was Dracula. He was, but the Vampire in Fright Night was a lot of fun.
Yeah,
too. Yeah.
Inspired by. I love both Tim Curry's performance and Skarsgård's performance. Pennywise the Clown.
Sure. Yeah. One last thing I want to throw out before we wrap up. I was looking online before the podcast, and the AFI, American Film Institute, did their 100 greatest villains list, and the highest ranking entry on that list based on a real character was from Schindler's List.
Yes.
And I don't know his name off the top of my head, but
Ralph Fiennes.
Ralph Fiennes portrayed him, yeah. But I did a little reading, and this guy, my God, I think they toned it down in the movie because this guy was just awful. Like he basically hunted people for sport and sort of took pleasure in the atrocities that he did at these concentration camps. And when he was captured and tried, and his defense was, I just did what my higher ups told me to do. They were
Nuremberg
completely
defense.
aware, even though he was relieved of his duties. I think when his higher ups realized what he was doing, like I don't think all of his actions were sanctioned by the higher ups.
I mean, when you're running a camp, they don't pick well-adjusted people to do that.
Exactly,
So.
but he really embraced it, and so that was portrayed in Schindler's List, and that ranked as one of the I don't want to say greatest movie villains, but highest ranked movie villains on the AFI's list.
Do we want to give an honorable mention to Leonardo DiCaprio's performance in Django Unchained for Candyland?
That was that's a good one. That's a role that we really hadn't seen DiCaprio take on as the villain, and he seemed to really relish it. He had a lot of fun with it.
Yeah.
And so that was a pretty good one too. And I don't know if one of you guys mentioned this earlier, maybe just in passing, but if you want to argue that the alien in the Alien movies is a villain, I kind of argue against it because he's more of just a creature.
That's like Jaws.
That's his nature. Yeah, it's not being malicious. It's just what he is. So that's why I left Alien off my list, even though I will concur that Predator, I think, belongs on the list, but maybe
Predator
not
has a
certain.
civilization. There's a code to
and
it.
that's their sport. Yeah, they hunt.
Although they don't kill women and children.
Yeah, I guess that's true, isn't
Predator
it?
2, yeah.
Yeah. All right, well, that was fun. I'm glad we tackled this list, got that out of the way, and we'll be back in a couple of weeks with another exciting episode of Hollywood Blockbusters. We'll see you next time.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Come to the movies, watch Charlie Chaplin, and put some sunshine into your day. Forget the hard times, come to the movies, and try to laugh your troubles away.